It is 6:31. I'd like to call this meeting to order and announce that this meeting of the Seguin Independent School District has been duly called and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.043 of the Texas Government Code. At this point in time, we'll rise to say the pledges, and I will lead the pledges this evening.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
All right, please join me in a few moments for silent reflection. All right, thank you, and greetings to everybody. We're happy that you're joining us this evening. Moving on in the agenda, we'll have Dr. Gutierrez give his announcements.
Good evening, Seguin ISD trustees and Seguin ISD community. It is my pleasure to share highlights since our July 24th board meeting, as well as news from across the district. August has been a very busy month as we were in final preparations for August the 23rd, our first day of school. Back on August 7th, we welcomed new teachers to Seguin ISD with a bus tour of the school district. Our new teachers saw where each campus was located and also were able to get a feel of the town, including area businesses and the neighborhoods in which our Seguin families reside. On August the 14th, we welcomed all teachers back to their respective campuses. Also on August 14th, I had the opportunity to host the Communities in School Champions Lunch in partnership with our friends at Shirt Cibolo Universal City ISD. We had several community members who attended to learn about the valuable services that Communities in Schools provides to both districts while enjoying an award-winning lunch from the Seguin ISD Child Nutrition Department. The luncheon was a positive first step to help bring attention to the impact of Communities in Schools, the impact that they are making on students in Guadalupe County, and how community support is vital to their success. On August the 16th, we hosted a board workshop and presented our state accountability results that were made public on August the 15th. Seguin ISD and all of our campuses received the Met Standard rating, and 12 distinction designations were earned by Seguin ISD schools. Distinction designations are awarded to campuses based on achievement on performance indicators compared to a group of 40 campuses of similar type, size, and student demographics. The 4 performance indicators are academic achievement, English language arts, math, science, and social studies, academic growth, closing the gaps, and post-secondary readiness. McQueeney Elementary earned 5 distinctions out of a possible total of 6 for an elementary campus. The distinctions were awarded for academic achievement in math, science, English language arts, plus closing the gaps, and for post-secondary readiness. Kinnicky Elementary received 4 academic distinctions, including one for academic achievement in math, academic growth, closing the gaps, and post-secondary readiness. Students at Jefferson, Patlan, and Vogel Elementary Schools also performed well, having received distinctions in science, closing the gaps, and academic growth, respectively. Under the new state accountability system, this is the first year that districts were graded on an A through F format. As a district, Seguin ISD received a C. Last year, under the same system, we would have received a D. I commend our students, teachers, campus administrators, and families for continuously striving to improve academics in our schools. I am proud of their efforts and look forward to continued academic improvement across the district during the 2018-2019 school year. Matador Family Day was held on August the 17th, in which all central admin staff spent the morning at campuses assisting teachers and administrators with a variety of duties such as laminating, picking up trash, pulling weeds, sharpening pencils, and setting up classrooms. We received a lot of positive feedback from Matador Family Day, and we look forward to making this an annual tradition. On August the 20th, we held Convocation, and that evening we hosted a board candidate training session for all candidates who filed before the 5 p.m. deadline on that day. To recap the candidates in the November 6th election, we have the following: Alejandro Guerra and Joseph Ramp for District 2, John Holt and Linda Duncan for District 4, Michael Barrow and Denise Crittenden for District 5, and congratulations to Glenda Moreno, the lone candidate to file in District 7. I know that I still have the privilege of working with Mr. Flores, Mrs. Effenberger, and Mrs. Reel for a couple of more months, but I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you each for your service, support, and for always doing what is right for all of the students in Seguin ISD. Thank you all. Last Thursday, was our first day of school in Seguin ISD, and having visited many of our campuses that day and the remainder on Friday, I am proud to report that the new school year started out smoothly. Our schools were full of excited students, happy teachers, and even happier parents. Like we say, make sure on that first day that all kids get fed and all kids get home, and they did. A little later than usual, but just please continue to be patient the first couple of weeks of school. The maintenance department had our schools clean and ready. The child nutrition staff was prepared to feed our students, and the transportation department was on task to safely transport students to and from school. All in all, it was a team effort, and I congratulate all who played a key role in the transition to a new school year. Last week, I was able to see the Lady Matadors play in the Seguin ISD Invitational Volleyball Tournament at Goldie Harris, and would like to remind all that the first varsity football game of the season is Friday here at home against Antonian. These games are so much more than football. They are a community event that highlight not only our football team, but our band, cheer, dance, ROTC, flag runners, and so much more. So please come out and support these students. It will get cooler eventually, I promise. Also, Friday evening is the first of several productions of Wheels of War in the Performing Arts Center. All Seguin ISD 7th graders will be treated to a performance on September the 5th, and the Wendell family has donated a copy of the book for each of these students, along with the advanced theater art students at Seguin High School. We look forward to hosting the play in the PAC through September the 9th. I'm excited about the 2018-2019 school year, and as always, I appreciate the community support of our students and teachers. Thank y'all.
That is a lot going on. Thank you, Dr. Gutierrez. All right, moving on to our short board reports. We'll start with Mr. Holt.
Yes, over the past month, I've attended the Seguin Sports Booster Meet the Coaches night. Also attended the high school Meet the Teachers, as well as volunteered at the project graduation table at the Meet the Teacher. Attended Convocation, and also attended the first annual Matador Band Review, which was actually a really good thing. Thought that was really nice. And then also attended the freshman JV varsity scrimmage last Friday. And so it's looking like we're going to have a pretty good Matador football team this year. Dance and cheer and flag runners are getting ready to go as well, as Dr. Gutierrez said. So I invite everybody out Friday night to watch some football, and everybody else. And the band is going to have most of their show ready to go. So yeah, they're really pushing forward.
Thank you. Ms. Effenberger?
I attended the luncheon that was sponsored by the community and schools, and I'm pleased that they're extending that program from the high school down to the middle schools this coming year with more staff, and I think we're going to see some positive results from that. I also was a participant in the convocation that was held at the high school, and for all staff, and I appreciate and love all the teachers that are coming back and all the new teachers. We have some wonderful teachers coming into our district.
Thank you. Ditto, I'm very excited about all the new faces and happy to see the people returning. I also attended the CIS luncheon, and I think that the shirts people were a little jealous of how good our food was, so it was really great. Convocation was amazing, so much energy. The teachers are so excited. It was just really uplifting to be a part of that. We did have a board workshop mixed in there somewhere. I think it was a couple weeks ago. And we learned a lot about the accountability system. I was lucky enough to see the band as well. They were really great, and I'm looking forward to that. I also got to go to the football scrimmage and see Mr. Jenkins' son score a touchdown. So, and also I did want to wrap up by encouraging all of you, if you can, go to see Will's War over the course of their time here. It's really a top-notch production, and I think you will be happy that you went. All right, Mr. Amador?
This past month, I went to go see a lot of the facilities. I saw that the sidewalks at Barnes and Kennedy, they should be completed by now, I guess. Yeah. And we also, I went to Mr. James Sosina and his crew did a marvelous job at Brismeister. The inside looks marvelous. It looks very, very nice. Hope to see the other schools get the same treatment. And I also went to communities and schools, and I was very much impressed. If they keep going the way they're going, I think we will do quite well.
Mr. Jenkins.
I attended the volleyball tournament, and it was very good. The team seems to be going right along. So the two games that I saw, they won both sets, so that was good. Didn't stay for the whole tournament all day, but did go to the football scrimmage and watch my son score a touchdown, which was pretty amazing since he's on defense. But I was told by several people that Cuero's #2 in the state right now, and my son told me after the game that we were 1 touchdown ahead. So we beat Cuero effortlessly. So I think our football team will be doing pretty good this year. Did do a CE course online for our accountability, and it was a very long and arduous course, and enjoying the summer, the heat.
Thank you. Ms. Reel?
Yeah, Carl and I really enjoyed that Senate bill update, but it was very informative. It was long, but it was very informative. Also attended Convocation. Besides the enthusiasm of the teachers, the highlight for me was the recognition of the kids who had the Talk My On readers. I mean, these were little kids, and they were talking about the minutes and the amount of books that they read. I was blown away. And Will's War tickets, looking forward to seeing that this weekend. Tickets are available online and at the Seguin Chamber.
Mr. Flores?
And I've been traveling for business, so I've missed the convocation, but I'd like to publicly welcome our new teachers and welcome back our returning teachers, and wish them a successful year. So welcome back, and let's get at it, as we always do. Thank you.
Exciting times this year. All right, item 2 on our agenda is audience with the board, but we have nobody signed up. So we will move on to item 3, which are our recognition and campus presentations. I believe Mr. Hoffman is going to be hosting this. And we're going to start off, it looks like, with Seguin High School, the PBL class.
Good evening, board members, and yes, Ms. Thomas-Jimenez. We're glad to have Art Thompson, Seguin High School science teacher, here tonight. I believe he has one of his students with him out of probably a dozen who worked on a project-based learning project in conjunction with the city of Seguin over this summer. And instead of me talking about it, we're going to have Art come forward along with his student, and they're going to give us a presentation on this project and how it will benefit Seguin for many years to come.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Arthur Thompson, as I was introduced, and I actually was fortunate enough to find out that I had a few more of the students that were coming for something else in a little bit, so they graciously volunteered to come up and talk on the spot with y'all. So here, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Steven Garzan, and
I'm Lena Rodriguez. Hi. My name is Deyanira Santamaria.
during the summer, a group of us 12, we went to Walnut Springs Park and we did research. We tested the waters. We looked at the creatures, the aquatic creatures, and we took data and we recorded it. And we also got the opportunity to make signs and pick certain locations that we would find out more historically. And for me, I chose the drainage pipe.
And so what the students did when they were going around through Walnut Springs Park, they were selecting locations based on physical interest. We had gotten a lot of historical records, and actually Mayor Kyle came out and he told us about some of the history of the area and when it was originally built and things like that. And so we selected, like Stephen's group, the locations based on historical interest as well as ecological and cultural interest as well.
The drainage pipe came down from Com Street and not Court Street, but Washington Street. And a little bit about it was tucked away into the side of the far side of Walnut Creek by the library.
So some of the other stations that we picked, the first one was the site of the old ranger station at Guadalupe and West Court Street.
And the next was at the beginning of the park, right before you cross the bridge. There was 2 springs, and they're thriving with life in just different minnows and crawfish and algae.
From there, we had the tour directs visitors to go to the larger waterfall, kind of where the sidewalk forms like a cul-de-sac, where they can see a lot of how the waterfall sort of affects the water quality and things like that. And there's a really good shot of some of the old construction that's still in place, sort of next to some of the new construction that we have currently.
And if you follow down the concrete path by the sidewalk by the library, you can find there's a little dam that you can cross over that used to be like a little crossing path to the other side of Walnut Creek, and that restricts the flow of water.
Right next to that, number 6 is there was a spring that was actually where the library was located that had to be rerouted before the construction of the library, and so there's a little outlet that leads into the creek that the students found very interesting.
And then past that, there is my spot, the drainage pipe.
Rounding out the tour at what's currently the end of the trail, at least in Walnut Springs, is the Ruby P. Vaughn Walnut Bridge, and the students were struck by the new construction of the bridge that was recently completed and what appeared to be the remains of an older existing bridge from when the walking path was originally constructed in the early 1900s.
Each group made a sign with some pictures and a description of the location and how to get there, as well as a QR code to go to an online video that we created going into more detail about the spot.
So from there, we presented actually this presentation with the signs and the video clips to the city for their approval. From there, they liked what they saw. They wanted us to move forward. So we're going to take the signs that the students made and take them to Mr. McCrary's graphic design class. And then we're going to work with the city to make professional-looking signs. And then from there, we'll go back to the city for final approval. And hopefully, If they like the signs and they like all the content, they're going to make the signs and install them and then host the web content. So hopefully we would be able to actually see this walking tour within the next 12 to 18 months.
Mr. Thompson's PBL class, the aquatic science, was a very great learning experience because you get to get your hands dirty and figure out what you like. And for me, I want to major in a field of biology, so this was a great experience for me.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Was there a lot of flow in the creek or upstream, or what, did you mainly focus on Walnut Creek in the Springs Park?
We're mainly focusing on Walnut Springs.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it had been raining back in June, so it's been a while.
Good question.
You did have a few days of rain, I think, yeah.
Actually, I think the week that we were actually out, well, I think was the only time we got rain.
Oh.
Before that and after that, we didn't get it.
All right. Well, please keep us posted,
Real quick
Mr.
question.
Thompson.
Yeah, real
Another
quick.
question?
Mr. Thompson, so if I get this correct, if the council approves this will be some signage that will be there along. So that's good. So that y'all be proud, kids. There'll be some history. You'll be there with the city that you designed and developed. So that's awesome. Good job, Mr. Thompson. Thank you for doing that for these kids. I
Yes.
appreciate that.
And let us know if those signs are going
please,
up.
please do.
Yeah, please
Thank
do.
you all.
Okay, thank you very
So
much.
thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Great job.
Trustees and Dr. Gutierrez next. We'd like to recognize Samuel Parrott, and we all know Samuel. He's Breezemaster Middle School's choir teacher. However, Samuel wasn't able to be here tonight. It's his first night at class at Texas State this evening. So filling in is Tommy Jackson, his partner in crime from Breezy. We would like to recognize Samuel tonight because Samuel is the recipient. This is at least the second year in a row of the A+ Foundation grant. He received $1,000. Tommy's going to come up and talk a little bit about how this grant will impact the students at Breezy. And we also have Kirby Watrich. He's going to come up. You may remember him from last year. And he's going to talk a little bit about the A+ Foundation grant program. Gentlemen? And great, we've got some Breezy kids too. One of them's the Lagore kid.
All right, thank y'all for having me. Again, my name is Kirby Watrich. I worked out in the yard, and I can't seem to let it go now. So, pardon the raspiness. I am the branch manager at A+ Federal Credit Union down the road in San Marcos. Very happy to be here once again, and I can tell you, because I've got the stats, this is the third year in a row for Mr. Parrott to win this grant, and the fourth year overall. So he's won in 13, 16, and 17. So every year, A+, we were founded by teachers in the local Austin area. We used to be formerly Austin Area's Teachers Credit Union. We've changed our name to A+, and every year we award grants. This year alone, we've given over 86 local educators and $77,000 in grants. The funds are out there, so please spread the word, because not only Mr. Parrott we want to take advantage of it, but the other teachers that you have in this district. Overall, and the grants are specific to local educators full-time pre-K through 12th grade. They have a classroom and they're educators. They can apply for this grant every year. And overall, since we started this in inception years in 2005, we've given over $834,000 in teacher educator grants. We believe in our teachers. They are the future that are leading our next generation, and we want to reward them. And teachers shouldn't have to use their own money to fund their ideas in their classrooms, and that's what we're here for. Please spread the word. We want to give more to Seguin ISD, but Mr. Parrott takes advantage of it every year, and I absolutely love driving out here and awarding him this. Thank you so much for accepting on behalf of. So, thank you.
All right. Hi. If you don't know me, I'm Mr. Jackson. I'm the theater teacher at Breezemeister. Sam and I work together. I'm sorry, Mr. Parrott and I work together on putting the musicals together. For the last 2 years, we're going on our third year as a team, and you're stuck with us for a while, so sorry about that. What I wanted to point out was that when we're doing these projects, something that we have been adamant about is getting these shows together. Getting a musical at the middle school level is not easy. It's very hard, but it's also a little bit costly. So having a team like A+ that is always willing to support us has been very, very helpful. I'm not leading this. I have our president of theater, Kaden Lagour, and our president of choir, Alex Megazin. They're gonna take over.
All right. Hi, I'm Kaden Lagour, as he just said. And I am, it's fine, I'm loud enough. And I am representing Mr. Jackson, even though he's right here. Theater and choir has changed my life, and behind my parents, Mr. Jackson and Mr. Parrott are the most influential people that I've ever met. This grant and all other grants that we've received from people like the Seguin Education Foundation mean a lot to me as a result of this. The past 2-ish years have been the best of my life, and it's pretty amazing that Mr. Jackson made middle school the best years of my life. This grant by A+ is going to benefit our 2 musicals, which are Into the Woods Junior on November 27th, 29th, and December 3rd. You should go to it. And Shrek Junior, which is in April. While these shows will be amazing, may I also remind you that we are doing Law & Order Fairy Tale Unit on October 26th and the 29th. And our one act, which we will be taking to contest again, you should go see that one too, is Lafayette #1. Lafayette #1. I would also, I already thanked the Seguin Education Foundation, but I'd like to thank them again because they've made our program so much better over the last 2 or 3 years. And yeah, they mean a lot to us. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Alexandra and I am so excited to be here today. I am honored by the opportunity to represent AJB Choir. Choir is now a big part of my life and Mr. Parrott has made it even grander. Choir opened me up in a lot of different ways, like being able to participate in the theater as well as being in choir at the same time. Choir has also opened me up to a new point of view in singing. For example, for the first day of choir, I thought I was a pretty decent singer for karaoke at least. And the first day I stepped into that room, it hit me that I have a lot to learn. So Mr. Parrott has turned me from a karaoke singer to a pretty confident choir member. So to me, that proves that Mr. Parrott can take a behind-the-scenes singer and highlight them to center stage. To me, I was amazed when I was elected choir president because I love doing things like this and representing AJB. As well as in school, the opportunity for people to look up to me and my fellow officers for help. My gratefulness for choir is having the best choir teacher to teach us things we love doing, and when he includes his humor in class to lighten the mood. I could not be the person I am today if it wasn't for Mr. Parrott. Thank you.
Thank you so much to A+. Is it A+? Okay, good at you.
Thank you, and great job representing theater and choir.
Yes.
You did a great job speaking.
And a couple of the kids, they both mentioned the Education Foundation, which I forgot to mention earlier. And if you're a teacher out there or an administrator, I just want you to know that those grant applications will be available on September the 17th. All right, Mr. Hoffman.
The other day, Mr. Pizzagna came to me and he said, Sean, he said, Steve Kaler would like to make a special presentation at some point to Dr. Gutierrez regarding the Associated Builders and Contractors Award for Excellence in Construction for Seguin High School. So James and I thought about it for about 2 seconds and said, hey, why not do it at the board meeting when we can get some bang for this buck. So I'm going to ask Mr. Pizzagna to come forward. I'm also going to ask Mr. Kaler, and I believe there are other representatives from Bartlett-Koch-Kaler, a joint venture, and they're going to come up and talk about this award, and then we're going to ask y'all to come forward and we'll grab a quick photo.
Good evening, how are y'all? Thank y'all for having us tonight. As y'all well know, the Kahlers and Bartlett-Koch are very proud of our high school, and it's pretty special. And tonight I have with me one of the superintendents, Jared Kahler, and one of the project managers, Ryan Zawicki. And with those two men and some other superintendents and project managers, and this man right here, we were able to put together a really good school. And these fellows are going to tell you a little bit about the awards that have been won through the building of this high school.
There's actually two awards that have been won. The first one is the Associated Builders and Contractors Award. It's for institutional projects for $75 million and above at the local level, which is the South Texas branch. This award we received first week of August in San Antonio at the local level, but probably a more prestigious, or at least equal prestigious, is the Associated General Contractors Award, the AGC, also for projects 75 million and above. Not only did we win the local level, but also the state level, and are still in the running for a national level competition that will be held in September in Pennsylvania. As Steve said, very proud to be a part of this project, and with everybody in it from the district. It was a very long project, but very welcoming, and just one of those that you don't dread coming to work every day because of the people you have to work with, and really appreciate the opportunity.
I'll second what Ryan said there. As an alumni of Seguin High School, it was a great honor for me and exceptionally proud to be a part of it. And just wanted to say thank you to the board and Mr. Pizzana, all the people at the high school who helped make the transition. They made it happen. It was a team effort, and just really thankful and appreciative of that. So thank you all.
We'll get them as soon as they get down here and kind of line everybody up. We'll get the collar folks in the back. Jerry will see you. Next, we'll bring Kirsten Lagore forward, and only Kirsten can tell us how recycled fire hose can make our schools safer. She's about to do it right now.
Well, good evening. Who is coming up behind me are representatives from Seguin Fire Department as well as McQueenie Volunteer Fire Department. And I have one example, and that is another example of exactly how fire hoses, used fire hoses, old ones that exist in fire departments. I don't know what they used to do with their old hoses when they were no longer usable to fight fires, but one of the things that they can be used for now is cut into pieces, and then they can be used as a sleeve over a wedge type door hinge. So there are many different doors in Seguin ISD, and one type of the door involves a hinge at the top that kind of just looks like a wedge. And there's one in this room, a hydraulic door closer. I have helpers behind me. And what this does is you put that over it like a sleeve, and if a door is shut, and this sleeve is over that, then it becomes very difficult, almost impossible really, to open it. So it serves as a good barricade. So at Seguin ISD, last year we implemented ALICE as an active shooter protocol, and as part of the lockdown procedure, it involves a barricade as part of that lockdown. And it became known throughout the internet and YouTube and Facebook and all those social media mediums. We learned about these different ways that people will barricade doors. And so this one, actually the same week, and they did not know that they were communicating with me the same week, but the McQueenie Volunteer Fire Department and Seguin Fire Department both contacted me about this concept. So it's perfect timing, and I told both of them yes. And then here we are today. So who we have from Seguin Fire Department.
Yeah,
She's here.
I'm Dale Skinner, I'm the Seguin Fire Chief, and so I'll just take a second to explain it, and maybe to help Kirsten out. We don't do anything with the old fire hose. Once it's taken out of service, it's out of service. And luckily, we had some hose laying around. Our fire marshal, Greg Dries, saw a deal on the internet where doing what we are doing here, saw it on the internet as something that we can do. And you just open it up, slide it over the hinge, and it holds the door. It's one very small way that Seguin Fire Department can assist our staff and students of Seguin ISD, and we hope and pray that it never ever has to be utilized. But if it saves a life, then it's done its job. So let's hope we don't have to use it.
And then from Seguin, the Volunteer Fire Department out of McQueen.
I'm Tim Bogish. I'm the chief of the McQueen Volunteer Fire Department, and apparently Greg and I surfed the same websites the same day and made the same phone call the same day almost. So we had some old fire hose laying around collecting dust, and we also decided this would be a great way to help serve our community. We're not here just to protect and serve when there's a fire, but to keep everybody safe all the time. So this is just one small way we can help do that.
We're very thankful that they came up with this, because that is definitely something that the schools as well as the safety team have been looking at, is how to better barricade the doors. So this was perfect timing, and of course we hope that nothing like this ever actually has to be used, but the fact that we have a tool that comes at no cost to anybody other than somebody's great idea and then implementing it is really beneficial to the school district. So we appreciate both fire departments contacting us, and we have about over 900 doors throughout the district that have those hinges. So this is something that definitely will help, and we will then be distributing these as they are cut to the schools that have those doors. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Trustees, next what we'd like to do is recognize a couple of folks who are here. They're usually here every month to cover our meetings as part of the 2017-2018 Texas Association of School Boards Media Honor Roll. The two ladies I have the pleasure of sitting with during board meetings, this is long overdue. They are, for as long as I've known them and had the pleasure of working with them, they meet this very minimum requirement, which is to be honored for fair and accurate approach to sharing challenges faced by public schools and the successes achieved by local teachers and students. And both of these ladies just do a tremendous job doing that. They're all about focusing on the achievements that our schools realize and focus on our students and our administrators and our teachers and our parents and the school board, and really they've just been great to work with, and I look forward to continuing that, and I look forward to their continued support. Not that we have not disagreed or maybe not gotten along on an issue or two here or there over the years, but you know, that's just part of being professional and part of being in this job, and the way they do their jobs. You know, I understand they have two sides to cover, and they have to cover balance. So there might be times where we open up the newspaper and cringe. We see something above the fold that maybe we think should be probably on the back page or in the trash can, but it's there, and we deal with it. But then again, the next day we can open up the paper and there's going to be just something great and outstanding there that may have been totally unsolicited. So at this time, I'd like to bring forward Ms. Felicia Frazier with the Seguin Gazette and Cindy Aguirre with the KWED Daily News, and we've got a fancy-looking certificate to present to each of you. Yeah, and isn't it ironic we can't get a picture of this? Huh? I'll get a picture of y'all. Thank y'all very much.
Congratulations, ladies. Well deserved. All right, we're going to move on now to the recognition of the Seguin ISD Matador Award of Excellence, and Ms. Whitman's going to bring forth some very special people.
Yes, good evening again. This quarter, we are closing out our year for the 2017-18, even though we've started kids with the 18-19. But there was a lot of work behind the scenes that had to get done. We had vestibules being built. We had walls that needed to be painting. And good Lord, the grounds crew working in 100-degree heat every day. And then not including just the administrative, clerical support in our central office, in our food service office, and transportation, mechanics, and office staff. I mean, all of those things have to be done every summer to prepare for a good, solid, successful, safe school year. So our Matador Award for the quarter goes to all of our support staff for this past summer, and I'm going to ask them to stand here in a minute. But one way we recognize them is we had a recognition or luncheon, appreciation luncheon last Friday, where the entire custodial staff, district-wide support staff came out to eat, and it was amazing. Dr. Gutierrez got to address the groups. We had over 100 employees with us. One small meal was no way to pay back what they do day in and day out, with no recognition day in and day out. So at this time, if you are part of the transportation, mechanic, or office staff, please stand up. I saw a couple of them. Transportation, office, mechanics. All right. If you are part of the custodial staff, please stand. If you're part of the maintenance and grounds group, please stand. Here we go. Food service office staff. We have Jacob.
Here representing them.
And we have our central office professional and clerical support staff. I see some folks. Stand up. The Board of Trustees, we'd like to acknowledge them as the Matadors of the fourth quarter, and we are excited that the school year opened basically without a hitch, and so it's all because of the folks that do their job in the summer. Thank you.
Thanks so much to each and every one of those people. We know who really runs the school. So at this time, I believe we're going to break and go into closed session. It is 7:14, so bear with us. We hope to be back fairly quickly. All right, we will now reconvene. It is 7:48, Mr. Meadows. And we have possible action on professional personnel, including appointment, employment, evaluation, assignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of public employees. We're going to start out with a possible action to select Seguin High School assistant principal.
Yes, Board of Trustees, the administration is recommending the approval of Ms. Zaylene Aragon for high school assistant principal.
Madam President,
Mr. Holt.
I move that we accept the recommendation of the new Seguin High School assistant principal.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Holt and a second from Mr. Flores. Do I hear any discussion? Not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Also, possible action to select Vogel Elementary School assistant principal.
Board of Trustees, the administration is recommending the approval of Ms. Tiffany Way for assistant principal at Vogel Elementary.
Madam President.
Mr. Holt.
I move that we accept the hiring of Mrs. Way, the new Vogel Elementary School assistant principal.
All right, we have a recommendation from Mr. Holt to approve Ms. Way. Do I hear a second? A second from Mr. Amador. Any discussion? Not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. So, congratulations.
At this time, we would like to introduce two of our three newly appointed administrators. First off, welcome to the Matador family. First, I'm going to start with Ms. Zaylene Aragon, who could not be here this evening, but she's been recommended for the Seguin High School Assistant Principal position. Ms. Aragon is coming to us from Edgewood ISD and has 16 years of experience in education and 5 years of experience as a campus administrator. Ms. Aragon has experience in working with large comprehensive high schools as an administrator and understands the demands of the job of assistant principal. She loves the early college high school program in the new state-of-the-art high school facility. She is thrilled to join the Seguin High School Matador leadership team. Welcome. I'm pleased to introduce our new assistant principal at Vogel Elementary, Ms. Tiffany Way, who has most recently served in Lavernia ISD as the student services coordinator and has 6 years of campus leadership experience. Ms. Way understands the day-to-day operations of an elementary school and truly understands providing programs for all students who come to us at all levels. She has a solid background in early literacy and feels children who have a strong foundation of reading can achieve success in all areas. Welcome to the Matador family. And I'm going to allow Ms. Way to come and introduce herself.
Thank you, Dr. Gutierrez. Good evening, board. Thank you so much. First and foremost, I am very proud to be part of the Matador family, and I am excited to be on a campus where we are rolling out AVID and the opportunities that is going to provide our students. I'm also excited to grow our dual language program, and so thank you so much for allowing me to be part of the Seguin Matador family.
Welcome. And finally, I'd like to introduce Yolanda Grijalva, who was approved at a previous board meeting, but she was not able to be here. She has been in education for the past 9 years. Ms. Grijalva most recently served as the English Language Arts Dual Language Interventionist / Instructional Coach with New Braunfels ISD. She is very familiar with bilingual education and early literacy with her teaching experiences in 1st grade, 3rd grade, and 4th grade dual language. Her experiences include providing collaborative and one-on-one instructional coaching, facilitating teacher inquiry, and analyzing and interpreting data for the purpose of designing effective instruction. After a long wait, Ms. Grijalva is excited to be transitioning to Matador country. Ms. Grijalva will be serving as assistant principal at Rodriguez Elementary.
Good evening. I want to say thank you, first of all, to the board and to Dr. Gutierrez. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm excited to take part in the initiatives that are taking place at Seguin ISD, both at the district level and also at our campus level at Rodriguez Elementary School. I'm very grateful for the warm welcome and support that I have received thus far. And again, I'm very thankful and blessed to be part of the Matador family and serve the Seguin community. Thank you.
I think I will propose that we take a very short break here, maybe till 8 o'clock, so we can have a little bit of time to greet our new principals and vice principals and also take care of business. So 8 o'clock, be back in your chairs.
Your muscles too heavy. Yeah, works your muscles, and now they're 1 in 3. Dr. Starbucks is right physical to partner. Yeah, sure. Just walking out my wife is a coach. I was like, have fun. Hello. How are you? Take a picture with you again? Okay, so I borrowed a boat the same day. She got her mega boat. Are you in? I didn't so I was there today, and then I got danced. Yeah, wait, hold on, pause. And when did you come see me? Okay, fine, I'll send it to you right now. Okay. Daddy. Cheese. Cheese. Did you hear that? She probably made a gross face. Like, smile.
So y'all start in school already?
There's probably
Lucky y'all. I see you. They're fast.
Like some of the back. Oh my gosh, that goes
Now you need to email all the people right here. I give the notebook. Here we go.
It's just like, I don't want
We had a reception.
How are you? Congrats to your wife. Congratulations.
Yes, I have a shirt. What is
So you had a seems fun. What did he do? He just like, it's one of those things like yes. And your mom just is he the one that'll be
All right, we will reconvene. It is 7:59. We made it back early. We're going to move on to our reports and information items and start off with the No Place for Hate campus designations. Ms. Kirsten Legore.
President Thomas Menace, Dr. Gutierrez, and board, it is my pleasure tonight to have with me, start coming ladies, and gentlemen. It is my pleasure tonight to highlight the school counselors from every campus in our district for helping make Seguin ISD a No Place for Hate district. Again, this is our third year in a row. And the picture up there is just a sample many of the activities that happen throughout the school year at all of the campuses for the purpose of No Place for Hate. The Anti-Defamation League, who leads No Place for Hate, sent a letter to Seguin ISD along with the banners that everybody has to hang proudly at their campuses to represent kindness and compassion. And the letter reads, "Congratulations, in the 2017-18 school year, your campus became a No Place for Hate campus. This is not something all schools in Texas do, and your campus is setting an example to the community at large that you value building truly inclusive space. The Anti-Defamation League is one of the country's oldest civil rights organizations. It serves as a support system to those people who feel that they have been discriminated against because they are perceived to be different. In 2001, the ADL created No Place for Hate initiative in schools so that educators and students could have the necessary resources to make their schools a place where all students feel safe and welcome. We are so pleased that last year, your school and the entire district made a commitment to being No Place for Hate by signing the Resolution of Respect and participating in 3 activities focused on building bridges of understanding and community. Your school and district has demonstrated that your school and district is a place that promotes respect for diversity and rejects prejudice. Thank you all for the understanding the importance of standing up against all forms of hatred to build more inclusive campuses and district for all." So I thought that was important to have the board recognize all of the counselors who really did all of the work. I just get to stand up here and read the lovely letter from the Anti-Defamation League. But I'd like for you all to see all of the banners together, because after tonight they will go to their home campuses where they get displayed for everyone to be able to see.
That is very impressive, and we look forward to seeing those banners when we walk in those campuses. Moving on to item B, we have the Cmos, Building Bridges with the Center for Mexican American Studies, the grant update. So we have Ms. Annalisa Garza, Allison Pape, and Jason Schmidt.
Board President Thomas Jimenez, members of the board, Dr. Gutierrez. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Allison Pape. Allison is the Director of Secondary Education and Advanced Academics, and she is going to help facilitate this update.
All right, good evening, President Jimenez, Dr. Gutierrez, and members of the board. We are excited to provide an update on the Cmos Building Bridges with the Center for Mexican American Studies grant, which we have in partnership with Texas Lutheran University. So this is the second year of a 3-year grant. This is a grant that was received by the National Endowment for the Humanities. TLU received this grant. And the goal was to try to increase the number of Mexican American students from Seguin who were going to TLU. So in the Summer Bridge program, the goal is to have students the summer between their sophomore and junior year, and then also the summer between their junior and senior year of high school, take classes at TLU. So as the second year, we had 2 groups of students participating in the grants this summer. So we had 6 students who were in the second year of the program, and they were taking, I want to make sure I get it right, they were taking the Mexican American Literature course. And then we had 12 students who started their first year in the grants, and they were taking the Introduction to Mexican American Studies course. So you heard the cheers, because we have a lot of the students in the audience today who we want to recognize in just a second. But at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Jennifer Mata from Texas Lutheran University, who will tell a little bit more about the program, and we also have 2 student presentations that we want to share with you tonight, so she'll introduce that.
Good evening, Dr. Gutierrez and esteemed board. Thank you for having us here, and thank you for allowing us this opportunity to present some of the fabulous work that some of our students did this past summer. So the students who were in Introduction to Mexican American Studies, their goal and their task for their final project was to take a concept in Mexican American Studies and connect it to one facet of either their lives or their communities. And so we had 12 really wonderful presentations. I believe Sophie Salceda is going to present hers today. In the Mexican American Literature course, students were asked to take a theme from Mexican American literature, and more specifically one of the novels that we read, find a theoretical foundation, and analyze the text in presentation form. And Sophie Anderson is going to present hers today as well. So I don't know if they would like to come up at this time. So, Sophie Salceda and Sophie. Sophie Salceda did El Mariachi Supersuit, or the Mexican Supersuit El Traje del Mariachi, and I'll let her talk a little bit about it.
Hi, as Dr. Mata said, I'm Sophie, and so I did my presentation on the Traje del Mariachi because I am a mariachi, and with the pieces that we read and the articles that we read in Dr. Mata's class, I could really see how I could connect the aspects of my life of being a mariachi to what we were learning in class, and I hope y'all enjoy it.
Mariachi is important because it is a symbol of the mestizo culture. I am very proud to be a female in mariachi because it means I am able to wear my traje and honor my ancestors that came before me. Now, let me explain a little more by what I mean.
I'm Sophie Anderson, and I did my testimonial about Chicanismo, the Chicano feminism.
recognize the Cmos peer mentor, Amaris Diaz. She's sitting in the back. She worked a lot with the students over the summer with 2 other peer mentors. And I'd also like to call the Cmos scholars up to the front as well, because I would like them to be recognized, and I know they're scattered around the room. So if y'all could come up, that would be wonderful.
And students, while you're up here, I had the opportunity to be there as you were presenting, and I wish we had a lot more time so that everyone in the audience could see your presentations and hear some of your stories that were quite powerful, to talk about the many struggles that Hispanics have endured, and even some of the ones that are taking place right now with you personally are with family members in 2018 is still hard to take in sometimes, but your stories were very powerful, very touching, and the work you did was very impressive, and I encourage you to keep on doing that work, that quality work as you start this school year, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of you again next summer when we could go through this again. Thank you all.
Madam President.
Yes, sir.
The young lady who presented second.
Sophie.
Sophie 2.
Sophie Anderson.
I want to say, I remember you from last year.
I do too.
And your graphic novel that you've done, your big thing. And I just say, I commend you on doing even further work and staying with it. And I just appreciate what you've done for Seguin ISD.
And thank you, Dr. Mata, as well, for all the work that you've done and spent time with these students. It's an amazing program. I know it's a 3-year grant. Can we apply for it again? Okay, thank y'all. Thanks to all of you for sticking around. I know it's getting a little late. Moving on to item C, it's the Superintendent's Task Force update and member recognition. So Dr. Gutierrez, Mr. Schmidt.
Good evening, and I'll start before an introduction takes place, but just to give people in the audience a little bit of background. Prior to being named superintendent, and as I was looking at district data, as I was preparing for my final interview, I identified some areas that really grabbed my attention that would help move the district to the next level. And so that's how I first identified these 4 task forces that I talked about to the board prior to coming. And these were part of my 90-day entry plan. However, I did make it known to the board that this 90-day entry plan was not set in stone, that it was a fluid document that, based on feedback, should I come into Seguin ISD, could be tweaked. What was quite interesting after having an opportunity to share this with the community, the 90-day plan, and with the staff, there were very little tweaks that were made. And there were 4 task forces that were identified, and they are as follows: the GT task force, post-secondary readiness, bilingual ELL, and special education. as those are all areas that are really important to any school district, but areas of opportunity for Seguin ISD. And if you have noticed and paid very close attention to the areas that we are staged in, bilingual ELL, special education, and again, we're really looking at moving kids from the meeting standard to the masters, really focusing on GT as well. Those areas are tightly aligned with the work that we need to do as a district. As a result of that TA on-site visit, I think we were already on track towards doing that work. And I appreciate the response from the community when we put an application out for community members and parents to express interest in joining a task force, and we did make it very clear that it would be a 3-year commitment because there is work to do. And many times you may have been part of when a task force comes together, you identify problems and you identify more problems and you identify some more, and usually there's no action that happens. And what I really had hoped was that we could come up with actions that we could take as a district to really move Seguin ISD. And what I've been quite impressed with these teams of people on all 4 task forces that really created almost a mini strategic plan for each of those areas. And they have already had an impact when you look at AVID, when you look at dual language and the direction we're moving with dual language. They were behind this decision in bringing 2-way dual language. So they are having an impact, and reevaluating the way we identify GT and the way that we support students, and the list goes on, and they're going to provide an update. But I wanted to give the audience and those who will be watching later on video some background. But I also wanted to personally express my appreciation for all of those who have served on a task force, because it was a lot of work outside of meeting. The research, the reading, looking at data. I greatly appreciate the work that you've done, and in advance the impact that you are going to have on Seguin ISD. So thank y'all. And with that, I will hand it over to Mr. Schmidt.
Okay, at this point, what I would really like to be able to do is to recognize the leadership of our directors for the task force pieces that Dr. Gutierrez mentioned. Then we would like to personally recognize the individual members of the task force. So with that being said, I would like to bring up, if I could please, let's go ahead and bring up Allison Pape. Allison worked with the GT and Advanced Academics Task Force. And do you want to call it?
Yeah. Okay. Hello again, everybody. So we have up here the list of the GT and Advanced Academics Task Force members. I'll give you a second to look at those names. Again, including general education teachers, special programs teachers, parent representatives, and other campus and district staff. And so of the GT and Advanced Academics Task Force members, if you're in the audience, if you'll please come forward and receive the certificate and recognition.
Firstly, I do want to recognize Allison Pape's leadership on this task force.
I'm standing in now for Donica Maria, who is the director of our professional learning here at Seguin ISD. and she also worked to facilitate the post-secondary readiness task force. So would members of the post-readiness task force please step forward? Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Venus Valenta. Dr. Valenta worked with our multilingual task force.
And will the following members please join me? Cynthia Moreno. Robert Ariola, Principal at Rodriguez Elementary. Cassie Kaler, Assistant Principal, Kingsbury. Abigail Montes, Counselor, Seguin High School. Maria Guerra, 3rd grade teacher at Upland. Andrea Caramillo, ELAR Multilingual Coordinator. Not joining us this evening, but I would like to recognize them are Sam Ramos, Kiana Williams. Kiana's here. First. Okay.
Yay.
And Donna Kubina, not here. So these are the members of the multilingual force.
Here's y'all deserve an attendance award for clear. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And finally, we'd like to bring up our Director of Special Services, Ms. Halsey Dean, and she was working with the Task Force for Special Education.
All right, thank you. I'd like to recognize the members of my task force who've done a wonderful job. I've been proud to work with these individuals. Michael Garza, Principal at Barnes University. Meredith Stafford, new Principal at McLean University. Lisa Pate, Counselor at Jefferson. Christy Miranda, Instructional Coach at Barnes. To recognize Beverly De Leon, I don't believe she's present, and she's the new Behavior Specialist at Ball Elementary. Melissa Carpenter is not present as well. Esteban Rangel, Special Education. Leticia Lopez, parent. Machado, Lopez Machado. She's like me, goes by a couple of names. Everybody gets it wrong, right?
That's okay.
All right, Catherine Tondre, another parent who's joined us on the podcast. And our other two members are from Central Office, Kimberly Ferguson and Allison Higginbotham. Thank you.
very much. And at this point, we are going to continue with the update.
So for the GT and Advanced Academics Task Force, we had some kind of broad recommendations looking at the data and looking at our current state of the programs. The first thing that our task force did is we reviewed our current GT programs and service design model and student enrollment data, and we based it on the Texas State Plan for the Education of Gifted, Talented Students. So the state of Texas gives us very clear guidelines about how we should serve gifted students, and the plan has a rubric essentially of how you can rate yourself. If you are in compliance, so meeting the letter of the law, if you are getting more towards kind of a higher level status, and then exceeding in terms of your service design. So there are 5 aspects of the GT program in the state plan: student assessment, service design, curriculum and instruction, professional development, and family and community involvement. So during our meetings, we broke down each of those 5 areas and really self-assessed. We used the rubrics to identify where we were as a district. And from that, built in action items and developed already a 3-year plan. And the main thing that we want to do is to develop a Seguin ISD GT handbook. We don't currently have a written handbook. We have some brochures and some pieces that have been in place over the years, but we wanted a consistent handbook. And more importantly, we want to be able to update that information online so that parents and community are very familiar with our GT program and what it is that we do. So we are currently working on those processes and getting that information posted online. We, again, want to update that section of our website in the goal really of informing parents and community. We don't want anybody questioning what we do in the sense of, I don't know how my kid might have been identified as gifted, but I don't know what that means or how they are served. So we want to make sure that we get that information out there. And then we're also taking a look at the service design model for our secondary campuses. This is something a lot of districts across the state really take a look at how gifted students are served in middle school and high school. And so that will be a big part of our year 2 and 3 push, is looking at research, looking at how other districts are doing it, and identifying some areas of looking at for that service design piece. Questions?
Good evening. I'm so excited because if you haven't checked Twitter, I want you to go to #SAISD dual language, and you will see a lot of photos of things that are happening in our dual language classrooms right now. So when you get a chance, don't forget #SAISD dual language. Sorry, that was my old place, my old home, SISD. Dual language. So first of all, in elementary, we have now launched our very first 2-way classroom at Kennedy Elementary. We have a cohort of students in kindergarten that are being served in a 2-way program. So half of them are bilingual students who are learning obviously English and Spanish, and then we have the other half of students that are English speakers that are going to learn Spanish, and of course they have their native language of English. And then across the district we have 1-way dual language being implemented at all the 4 campuses. At Ball we have our pre-K, we have 4 classes, and then we have at the other campuses the 1-way full dual language model, 1-way in first grade, in kinder first, and then of course we have still our early exit model for the students that have been currently served under that model. So we're super excited if you haven't had an opportunity to visit the campuses. And again, this is a complete transformation for our campuses. When you walk in, you will see signage that's in English and Spanish. We follow the Gomez and Gomez model, and things are in red and blue. So if you see red, that signifies you know something's in Spanish. If it's in blue, you know that something's in English.
And Dr. Valenta, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what I'll be doing once that cohort of kindergartners, they have a little bit of time to transition, Nancy will extend an invite so that we can go and visit that class where you'll see those kindergartners engaged in either Spanish or English.
Right, absolutely. So at the secondary campus, at the secondary campuses, we are redefining our ESL model. And so we are proud to say that we are serving our English learners at both campuses, at AJB and at Barnes. So we have a newcomer class. And so also at the high school, we have our ESL classes for our newcomers. And so we're excited to keep making sure that we redefine that and that our students are being successful, beginning at the elementary and expanding all the way to secondary. So again, we're just eager that we have made this transformation and our students are on the road for a lot of success in both languages. So thank you.
Danica Murillo was the lead for the Post-Secondary Readiness Task Force, and she is unfortunately under the weather today, so I'm stepping in. So again, this task force was really taking a look at how our students are doing in post-secondary readiness, which I know is something that we've discussed a lot, and wanting to make sure that our students are prepared for life after high school. So again, the recommendations you can see in 3 areas. The instructional piece, as you heard the new Vogel assistant principal talking about, already implementing AVID at Vogel and elementary campus, and that was one of the recommendations, was really taking a look at that AVID model and expanding that at elementary. Again, looking and making sure that the AVID model at our middle school and high school that we're implementing with Fidelity, we've been doing that for a couple of years. So just taking a look and seeing how we are doing, how students are doing with that program. Really working on that TSI, SAT, and ACT. Again, you guys have seen that data in previous reports and know that that's an area where we can grow with students, but we know that that growth begins in elementary school. So taking a look and seeing at how can we expand some of those instructional practices, starting down in elementary school and through high school, to make sure that they're part of instruction so that our students are better prepared for those tests. The parent piece, again, is just making sure that our parents and community understand what kind of post-secondary opportunities that we have, and so getting that information out there to them. And then the social emotional piece, definitely talked a lot about the community mentor piece. Again, we know the success of mentor programs and how it helps our students, so really just wanting to expand on those. And then really looking at those transition years, what that looks like as our students come from elementary to middle and then middle to high school, and putting some pieces in place to help students with those transitions. So lots of exciting stuff with this task force, and I think things that will benefit all of our students K-12.
Thank you. I've been so proud to work with this task force. They've done a really excellent job. And before I talk about what's on the page, I think our commitment this year started with looking at philosophies and ideas regarding special education. And our task force, our commitment was to high expectations for all students, that all students can learn at high levels when given the proper supports and encouragement. So I was really proud of them for recognizing that and the need to address the culture regarding special education. So in addition, we talked about instructional recommendations in terms of selecting and implementing reading intervention programs for struggling readers, that we felt like reading was a very important highlight of our program and we need to focus on that. Ensuring cohesive special education program plans throughout the district and providing quality instruction. And to that end, with the task force support, we were able to develop a level of support model and a case manager notebook that kind of informs our teachers as to what needs to happen in the classrooms. And we've done lots of training on this model and gotten great feedback from our teachers. We're ensuring that students can receive high quality instruction in a full continuum of special education services, that all services and supports are available to students throughout the district, no matter where they live, what campus they attend, that we want students to have available to them the full range of programs offered. So parent community involvement, we want to increase our parent community and stakeholder communication and participation in special education programs. We started some community events that have really taken off. We do a Halloween fun festival for children with special needs that's really grown, it's kind of outgrown us this year. I think we're going to have to look for a bigger venue, which is great. That's a good problem to have. But the task force really wanted to highlight more community events. We're going to do a special education open house this year and other agency community fairs to get our parents information on services available. So in staff development and professional learning, we are really focused on professional learning for our teachers and increasing the opportunity for growth and learning for our special education staff, and then giving opportunities for teachers to collaborate with each other. They know they have good answers. We want them to be able to talk to each other. So to that end, we do a monthly special ed PLC, a professional learning community. I think that's it for me. I don't think I have a second page. All right. Thank you all very much.
So when you look at all of this work from these 4 different task forces and you put it all together, it's a lot that they have taken on, and a lot of actionables that are already in process, and I firmly do believe that they will have an impact on our students. Thank you all.
Very impressive, and thanks to each and every one of you that led one of the task force or attended the meetings and sessions and gave input. All right, moving on to information item D, which is regarding the purchase of the Time Clock Plus professional annual employee licenses through the DIR Purchasing Cooperative. Mr. Hilbert.
Well, I always have the most exciting things, right? So I try to lighten it up with. Anyway, it's a purchasing cooperative. What we're looking at here is the purchase of time clocks. It was brought to the board as a fund balance assignment earlier this year, and the purchase is now underway, but as a formality, we need to share with you the method of procurement, and that was through the DIR Purchasing Cooperative. So happy to answer any questions if you have any.
I think you're still up. So item E is information regarding the purchase of 3 71 passenger buses and 1 special needs bus through Board Purchasing Cooperative.
Right, and I will not attempt to field any questions on this, but we'll just speak to the procurement method. We talked about this a little bit last year, as you recall, and there's a replacement cycle for the fleet of buses, and so this is a matter of normal operations to replace some of the fleet, and the methodology was explained last year, but we can certainly explain that again if you'd like. We've tried to include a little bit more documentation this time so you can see from the information what was compared amongst the various vendors. But once again, this is through a purchasing cooperative, in this case by board.
Any questions? And these are the buses with the seat belts, right?
Like I said,
I'm pretty sure that's what we talked about last year.
Oh,
Yes, James,
okay,
thank you. Okay, there's an answer, man. Okay, moving on to item F, which is information regarding the purchase of school health and related services through the CTPA Purchasing Cooperative.
And I'm glad we have Ms. Halsey Dean here in case you do have any questions. But again, this is an entity that will handle Medicaid billing and collection of data. There's all kinds of things that are associated with the services, and nonetheless, it's a cooperative purchase. We're obligated to bring it to you in an information item. So,
any questions? Okay. Moving on to item G, which is Seguin ISD Emergency Operations and Safety Protocols. Kirsten McCord.
Usually do not see me this much in one board meeting. So hello again, Board of Trustees. It is this time of year that we talk to the campuses, and we've done extensive training on a lot of safety issues. And safety is something that in the past we talk about in closed session, and of course the details of that emergency operations plan are not something that we give to the community, but now that we live in a little different world than we have, with so many more of these active shooter incidents that were happening in schools in the United States last year. We had a significantly high number going on in the country. And then we're still obviously dealing with these incidents, as there was one, just this week. So we know, although that wasn't at a school, these are incidents that are just impacting the country. So what do we do as a school district? Well, One thing we do is we talk about these issues. We don't pretend that they don't exist and put our heads in the sand and hope they go away, because that's not going to help. And we get information out so that people know that we're in a position to respond if something were to happen, and we prepare. So that's what I want to talk to you all about tonight, and some of those updates that have happened to our emergency operations plan. Because of all of these incidents, there have been a lot of reports and a lot of studies done, and that gives us more information then as to how to go about what our planning is. So that's what tonight is about. But really, before I start with what are all these emergency operations, it really starts with what I talked about last time I was up here. The No Place for Hate and all of the things that the schools do for kindness and compassion and really getting kids to see each other and not always their phones or devices, but to really see each other and care about each other, because that is fundamental to all safety issues in any entity, but that includes schools. So beyond that, we're going to talk about the other things that we do here in Seguin ISD. Because of this, I have to lighten up safety with cartoons, and you'd be amazed at how many cartoons there are related to safety. Because life has definitely changed. Kids used to come home from school and talk about what happened in class, and now they come home and they talk to their parents about active shooter protocols. And we want them to. At the same time, I wish we didn't have that as the current state of affairs. So what we have for our emergency operations plan for you all to be aware of, as well as the community, is we have a district plan, and that is in compliance with the Texas School Safety Center's template, and it sets forth an incident command system. So these are terms that administrators, when they go to college to become administrators and go get advanced degrees, this is not something that they necessarily learn. So we need to teach and have them go through trainings for what incident command means, because they're going to be part of it if it ever were to happen on their campus. And it also, besides the plan, there are 30 appendices that then come after the plan, which detail all sorts of bad things that could happen within the district, and then what would the response be. So those range from train derailments, hazmat procedures, tornado, a lot of different things related to weather, and that has grown through the years to come up to 30 now, because it also expands into mental health issues that were never originally in the emergency operations plan, but now really need to be, and all the suicide prevention and the protocols if somebody were to be suicidal. All those things are in the emergency operations plan. Then the campuses have very specific plans about their particular campus and where their evacuation routes would be. So their teachers kind of have a condensed version for their particular campus. And we used to only give a hard copy to the campuses for administrators, but now we've expanded that to be an online resource, internal, for anyone, all of our staff, to be able to access and to read. And many have gotten a lot of feedback that they found it interesting, and they didn't actually know that we had such a thing. So all of that is very good to get that information out there. And that's beyond just the training that we do. That's so they can read the whole thing. So the important updates for this year, because there were many, it includes readiness levels. So we need you all as board members and really the community. Anybody that's at a school, you may hear these words. So they're words that everybody needs to know what those mean. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then the standard response protocol, to know what that means. The ALICE, active shooter protocols, which we implemented last year, that continue. The drills, and we will have more drills this year now that we've got things in play. Reunification is a big issue, because what if something catastrophic happened? How would you successfully reunify students with their parents? And that is a big, that could be completely chaos, and we don't want it to be. So we, thankfully, with the Texas School Safety Center and all of the reports coming out, there's a good process in place. So I'm going to show you what that's going to look like. Hopefully it never happens, but we'll be ready if it does. And then we have been looking into what else can we do to make people ready, not necessarily because an incident is going to happen in a school, but because an incident can happen anywhere. And so Stop the Bleed is a training that's provided by the hospital as well as the fire department. It's basically tourniquets, because we find, as we found right out here in the parking lot, on the day that the person was injured out as a result of a trailer incident, a tourniquet was needed to be applied. So those things happen any day, and it's good for people to know what to do if it happens. And then Crimestoppers, anonymous reporting. We are working with Guadalupe County Crimestoppers, and we'll talk a little bit about that and how that's going to improve our anonymous reporting in Seguin ISD. So the readiness levels, we used to use colors, which were green, yellow, and red. However, the recommendation is to stay away from colors and definitely any code words, because people on the campus might not necessarily know what yellow means. And then, so we use words that everybody understands. And we never use code words like the eagle has landed, because nobody knows if the eagle is good or bad. So now we have 3 readiness levels that just apply, which is low, and that is just normal operating procedures. You're never in a status of nothing here, or 0. It's just low. So at any moment something could happen and you're ready to react, but in the moment you're just dealing with life as normal. That means that there could be minor incidents that are just being handled, but you're alert and ready. Medium is your regular campus is really not affected. There's just a component of the campus that may be affected. There's some level of disruption. That could be like a student who has a seizure in a hallway. You want to make sure that nobody passes through that hallway. At the same time, most classes have no idea something happened. So that's medium. Examples of that may be severe weather's coming, and thankfully we're able to actually keep track of weather now with radars, so we know if a tornado is close. There could be violence in the area and the police have notified us of that. Or a dangerous animal. That is actually the most popular reason we ever use the code yellow, that is now medium level. Either a pit bull or something that's come onto campus, or we're calling animal control, or rattlesnakes. We work with those two that would qualify as medium level. But therefore you don't want kids outside of the campus. So that would be like a lockout, where you lock out the bad and you keep all the kids inside where they're safe. Or a hold, where you just want everyone to hold still while you're dealing with the situation. And then high. High is where everyone on the campus knows that there's a disruption, and regular classroom instruction is not happening in the moment. So the threat is on campus. There's multiple things that can be a threat, not just an active shooter. It could just be somebody's on campus and they're unidentified. You want to go into a high level because in the fear that something could come of that. It may just be somebody who's wandered onto campus and they're really not a threat. Doesn't matter. You're going to treat them as though they could be. Escalated angry parents. Sometimes a lot of them are child custody disputes that play out at a school, and a lot of emotions connected to that, and people act very erratically. So the parents could create the situation and they might run down a hallway. Those things have happened. And then severe weather that is upon us, or worst case scenario, an active shooter scenario. So at that point, the incident command at the campus is in place and the district officials have been notified. And emergency response is either on its way or being called. So those things could result in a lockdown, a shelter, or an ALICE situation. You should see these posters when you go onto campuses. We're getting them out. So you should no longer see what looks like a stop sign, because there is no such colors anymore. And you'll see these posters, which is the standard response protocol. And you'll see at the bottom, that is the Texas School Safety Center and the I Love You Guys Foundation. So this is very standard for schools. Our response protocol has 5 components. So these are what the drills are made up of. So lock out, which is where you're locking out the bad, you're staying inside, get inside, lock the outside doors. Most doors are already locked. The lockdown is where the locks and lights and out of sight. And at this point, that could turn into an ALICE situation. The evacuate and evacuate to a location. That, of course, happens with fire drills, but it could also happen in ALICE, or there could be another reason why you need to evacuate. Last year, Potlawn did an excellent job of evacuating due to the fire situation, and that worked very well in getting them out. So now that's evacuation. Shelter is for any particular kind of hazard. Those are usually weather related or hazmat, but we haven't thankfully had anything like that in Seguin. Or hold in your classroom. There is no such thing as reverse evacuation. Those are words that confuse people, especially kindergartners. Reverse evacuation, you evacuate but then you reverse. Is that walking backwards? Nobody really knows, so we just don't use these words anymore. They used to be very common language for people involved in emergencies. And then no shelter in place. People don't know if they can move because you just told them to stay in place, and that complicates matters. So that is our new standard response protocol for the campuses. Nothing has changed with the active shooter protocols for Seguin ISD, other than we're making sure that across the board, substitutes are trained. We are working to get the lunch monitored, making sure everybody, we just had bus drivers trained, making sure everybody across the board is trained in these protocols. And this is something you don't just learn once. They do the e-learning every year. And it's useful for everyone, no matter where they find themselves, whether it's a mall or a bank or Walmart or a school. And the students go through the training. We have new students every year, so for some people this is new training for them. The drills, you may find yourself on campus when we've got drills because there's a lot of drills. So don't be surprised. The fire drills happen monthly in accordance with the fire marshal and the rules. But on top of that, we also have the ALICE drills. The lockdown and the evacuate being really the biggest components. So those happen 7 times this year at all of the campuses. And then lockout, shelter, and hold are required as well, which many times schools just do without even having to purposely hold a drill. Evacuation and reunification. Like I said, this kind of turns chaos into hopefully organized chaos. But this is where I really like the plan that the Texas School Safety Center came out, and the I Love You Guys Foundation really in coordination about what are we going to do if we ever had to reunify. Well, there's a system in place, and it's a good one. So now I have a box, a reunification box, and everybody's going to have tags and signs, and we will know what to do when the time, if the time ever were to come. What it involves is kid herders, which I think is the best title of the entire reunification plan. Those are mainly teachers. So teachers are designated kid herders, and there's one person on every campus that's a designated entertainment coordinator to keep the kids in their area as calm as possible given the circumstances. And while they are busy doing that, there is a whole process for parents of where they go through a greeting area where they are given a card that they complete. They meet with checkers, and checker verifies their identification, and they give half the card to them. And then they go to a reunification area where we have runners who go back to get the students from their area and with the other piece of the card. And then at the end, it's all accountable because the 2 pieces of the card will match. And at the end, we'll know exactly which students left and with whom. So the map of organized chaos is this. Parents come in, and we also incorporate law enforcement, so they're at certain areas. They come in and they are greeted by multiple people who keep them informed. It's very important to inform parents of what's going on so that they know there's a process and they are going to be brought through that process and being able to explain things to them, because that is the best way to calm people down, is giving them information. They get to the checker area with multiple checkers who will process them through, and it's really all about the flow, which bring them down to the reunification area. Now this is the area where all of the students are at with the kid herders. And if there is a situation where one student is not there for some reason related to the situation, there are areas up here where the parent and a crisis counselor will go, usually with law enforcement, to talk about where that student might be. So all of this controls the flow, keeps people informed, and keeps everybody moving. Because we know that if there is some kind of catastrophe, parents will be there within a second because of cell phones and information getting out. So we need to be prepared to work with the parents to get them reunified with their kid, but in a way that we can ensure in the end who those kids are and who they went with, which is really the key. Stop the Bleed is the program I talked about in terms of tourniquets, because we know that the immediate responders in any kind of incident in a school, they're going to be the teachers, they're going to be the students themselves and the administrators, while they're waiting for the emergency responders. So we've gone through training with all of the nurses, and this fall we will be doing trainings, thanks to the hospital and the Seguin Fire Department, with all of the campus staff, so that they're all aware of how to apply tourniquets and whatnot. The goal is to get tourniquet kits on all campuses, so we're working with the hospital and grants and whatnot to try to get the funding so that we can do that within all of the schools as well. And then Crimestoppers, we're really excited about the partnership with Guadalupe County Crimestoppers. They're working with all of the school districts within Guadalupe County, and we're developing an MOU so that we will have access to what Crimestoppers uses at no cost to the school districts, which is phenomenal, but to allow students to anonymously report not just crime, although if they do report crime and it does get investigated, they will get a monetary reward, but also to just pay attention to each other. And if they notice something that they need to report, something related to mental health or suicide prevention, or just something that's concerning them about somebody in the school, they can report that. And all of those things will be investigated. So we'll have a district team as well as campus teams to field those tips as they come in, alongside with Crimestoppers. So that is going to be definitely new for the school districts, and we're looking to roll that out into September. So we are off to, I want to say, a safe year. We have got things in place and a lot of training going on right now. And it's really up the ante for all of the campuses and all of the training for all of the staff as well as the students. And I'm glad that, Seguin is really taking charge of what we can do. And hopefully that is empowering people to feel safer no matter what environment they're in. Any questions?
On to item H, which is personnel information. Ms. Stott Whitman, I think you have an update for us.
Good evening again. We have 15 new names that we are bringing forward to the board for information. As you know, they are already in place. And as of yesterday, we lost a science teacher in high school. So as Tony mentioned earlier, it's hard to stay staffed 100% of the time with teachers. We usually are. It's the auxiliary staff that usually sometimes sees more vacancies or more movement, but we're staffed with the exception of that one just yesterday. So we'll keep you posted there, but you'll see the new hires: Gloria Dami for 3rd grade, Kelly Butcher for ELA at middle school, and so on. There's 15 new hires listed. One I'd like to point out, Edith Vargas has been a paraprofessional with us at Ball and has worked her way up to teacher, and now is an opportunity. That's part of the Grow Your Own piece that we try to promote, and now she'll stay with us hopefully at Ball for several years to come. And then, as you know, we have the resignations listed below, and I try to be pretty specific on what we can on that information. So if there's any questions. Of the 15 new hires, we have 12 with bachelor's, 3 with master's, 7 with 0 to 2 years, 3 with 3 to 5, and 5 with 5+. And that's pretty uncommon this late. But there's we've had some people move in, some folks that have just finished up in another area and have taught somewhere else, maybe in another state. So that's the breakdown.
I'm happy to see Wendy Gustafson.
Yes.
Kinnicky really got lucky there.
Yes.
She's our church choir, music director.
Yes.
And she's pretty fabulous.
I think she'll be a great addition. Yes, ma'am.
No other comments? Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to item 7, the consent agenda items. I'm going to read through all of these. If any of you would like to pull one, just let me know. If not, we will vote on them without separate discussion on one vote. Item A, approval of board minutes, board workshop July 11th, 2018, public hearing July 24th, 2018, and the regular meeting July 24th, 2018. Item B, approval of tax collection reports for July 2018. Item C, approval of proposed budget amendments and financial statements for the Child Nutrition Fund as of June 2018. Item D, approval of proposed budget amendments and financial statements for July 2018. Item E, approval of property liability and fleet insurance for 2018-19. Item F, adoption of order setting for the tax rate for 2018. Item G, consideration of approval of the Texas Teacher Evaluation Support System, or TTES, and annual teacher review, ATR, calendar and procedures for 2018-19. Also, item H, consideration of approval of certified appraisers for 2018-19. Item I, consideration of payment for $365,000 to Tangram Rehabilitation Network, Inc. for contract services provided by ResCare Premier. Item J, extracurricular activity listing for 2018-19. And item K, the county extension agents as adjunct staff members. Would anybody like to see one of those pulled? If not, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Holt. And a second from Mr. Amador. No further discussion. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. All right, moving in, we're going into the stretch here. Action items. We start off with action item A, which is the first reading for consideration or approval of the Texas Association of School Boards, or TASB, Policy Update 111, which affects legal and local policies. Mr. Cantu.
Good evening, President Thomas Jimenez, members of the board, and Dr. Gutierrez. So before you have TASB's recommended language for update 111. On our end, what we have done is members of this superintendent leadership team has reviewed the policy. When you all decide to approve, if that's today, you have the option to do that, or in September, we are ready to implement as adopted. There are 8 local policies that were revised and 58 legal policies. And so we recommend that you approve as presented by TASB Legal.
Make a motion for approval.
I second that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Flores. Gave a motion, a second from Mr. Holt. Anybody want to talk about these changes? I know we all did our homework. All right. If no further questions, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Cantu. Moving on to item B, which is the first reading for consideration or approval of the local district update, LDU, D&B, or principal appraisal. And that would be Ms. Whitman.
Yes, this information is the school district is changing the principal evaluation instrument from a local instrument that has been used over the years to TPES, which is right in line with TTEST, the teacher evaluation instrument. So Mr. Schmidt had the principals go through training already this summer, so they're very familiar with the instrument, and it's very much the same concept of growing our principals and becoming stronger leaders. Any questions?
Move for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Do I hear a second? Second from Mr. Amador. Any questions for Ms. Whitman? Not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. And we approve it 7-0. Moving on to item C, which is discussion and possible action to authorize administration to enter into a lease agreement with an outside organization. Mr. Hilberg, you're back. This is exciting, though.
This one is more exciting.
It's different, yeah.
Anyway, we as you recall, discussed the possibility of trying to come to a lease agreement with, and the entity that we're talking about here, the lease agreement would be with Congressman Vicente Gonzalez of the 15th District of Texas, rather, and he's would like to have one full-time staff member and an intern, and they're wanting to use the facilities that was formerly known as the Parenting Center. It's just one part of it, a small part there in the front. We've been working with technology to make sure that there would be delineation as far as making sure that any online access that they have is A, secured, and B, appropriately built to them. They don't need a landline. They would be using cell phones. And as you can see the agreement, excuse me, it stipulates and breaks out what the what the conditions are and what the term is as it stands right now. Most of this is really established by guidelines from the state. We did reach out to legal. I just want to reiterate that fact, just to make sure that there were no conflicts here, because it is an elected official, his staff. So long as you are reasonable in terms of the rent that you're requiring and fees that you're requiring, so that it does not appear to be an endorsement of any nature, then there's legal precedence that says that that's okay. So we decided to field it, see how you feel about it, and if you're agreeable, we'll move forward.
All right. Any questions, Mr. Holt?
Yes, I had a couple questions. With regards to the facility itself, are we going to have to do any construction type to delineate just one area that they're going to be accessible to, or are they going to have full access to the entire area? Just we're going to put them in one room, but they'll still have access to the rest of it.
Well, and Mr. Pizzine is here, so if he feels the need, he can speak to it more. But the house proper in the very front there, it is all the area that they're going to use. The other buildings, they don't connect. They're separate doors. So in order to access them, you'd have to have a way to access, key entry, and they won't have that. So in fact, we're looking at expanding some of the a program with the another department is looking at using some of those other buildings. So we may implement some action in those other buildings anyway. But no, they wouldn't have access to anything other than that, the front house.
And the front house is not delineated, it's not broken up into smaller offices, just one big open area?
Well, there's rooms, but all of that is part of the lease. They have that full 1,200 square foot that's offered up is the whole house area.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Real?
And the power, water, is that all included in the lease, or is
Well,
that
there's
built in,
right.
like the Wi-Fi?
It is. We did separately identify what we felt like we reasonably could, and then charged a rate that would reasonably cover what we would anticipate those costs to be. And because there's no separate meter that we can really use to identify exactly what they're using.
All right, Mr. Jenkins?
And I'm assuming you did a market research to see what fair market value for the square footage would be, and so.
We did, and of course it varies significantly, and we're on the low end of it, but we are very much right in there at it. So, in fact, I've got a little bit of research here that I did both online as well as in the newspaper, just to kind of get an idea of what, because it's not really fitted to be an office space. So what do you compare it to? So we wanted to make sure we were at least comparable to the low end of proper office space that you would find here in Seguin.
And there'll be just one staff member and an intern, is that what you said?
That's correct. That's my understanding.
Okay.
There's not really anything in the lease that would preclude them from having an adjustment to that, so long as they don't go outside.
I assume Mr. Gonzalez will come by every now and then as well. So, were we going to have them go through a background check? I would suggest we do, since it is on school property.
Right. There'll be there's a host of things that they'll have to complete.
All right.
And that would be one of them. Insurance, another.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Holt. Second?
Second.
Is that you, Mr.
Second.
Flores? Okay. No further questions? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. All right, 7-0. And last but not least on our action items is the 2018-19 employee salary increase recommendations.
Make a motion for approval.
And a second.
That would be Mr. Flores made a motion for approval, and Mr. Holt seconded that. Are there any questions for Ms. Whitman? All right. If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Did I get those mixed up? No. Okay, I got them right. Okay. All right, so that is the end of our action items, and we're moving into just the board comments and requests. I want to remind y'all we have another meeting on Thursday, and you should have gotten an email earlier this week. Looks like this. I would recommend that all of you look at the last page, actually page 5, and just take a look at that and be ready for discussion on item A. And Mr. Flores, I need something from you before you leave. All right?
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Effenberger just asked a question with regards to clarification on the approval. The motion that he made wasn't there. It was whether or not it was option A or option B.
Oh.
It is as recommended.
B option A is the 2%,
Thank you, Ms.
2.5.
The 2.5 is
All right.
correct.
Let's go back and vote on that again. So we're going to go with the recommendation.
The recommendation.
Yes, all right.
Yes.
All in favor, raise your right hand. The 2.5 for the
2.5.
paraprofessionals and 2 for the teaching professionals. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Effenberger. All right, any other comments or requests from board members? Ms. Reel? No?
Yep.
Yes?
We're at the board members, so thanks, right? Dot had talked about the last meeting, the reception for the new teachers like we did last year. Will that be happening for
Yes,
September?
we will do that. We will hold a reception prior to the board meeting in September. We'll invite all of our new Matador family members here to be recognized by the board as well. Thank you.
All right. Anything else from anybody?
Yes, I just want to say thank you to the board for supporting the salary increase, especially the additional amount for our non-exempt employees. It certainly does show how much you value and appreciate their work, but also how much you value and appreciate the work of our professional employees as well. For them to have been able to receive a salary increase for the last several years in a row is pretty significant, especially as other school districts are experiencing financial pains as we continue to deal with unfunded mandates and decreasing in funding and so much more. I just want to extend my appreciation to y'all.
Well, if I don't hear otherwise, I'd like to adjourn this meeting at 9:22. Okay, thank you.